Pleasure to welcome Danapriya. So Danapriya is here as a special guest to us this evening. He's not part of our Nottingham Sangha, but in a way it's a benefit. One of the benefits of having these online activities is it's very easy for us to have people come and be a guest in our Sangha, although I'm sure we would have equally liked to have welcomed you, Danapriya, in the centre physically, and yeah, hopefully that can happen again soon. So I'm just going to say a little bit about Danapriya. So Danapriya was ordained in 2001. He was ordained at Guhyaloka, which is the men's retreat centre, ordination centre, retreat centre in Spain, the Spanish mountains. And he was ordained by Ratnagosha. His preceptor is Ratnagosha. So many of you here will know Ratnagosha. I think that's a lovely connection we have because Ratnagosha is our president here in Nottingham. So a president of a Buddhist centre is someone who, in a way, is sort of a spiritual friend to us. He looks out for us, he looks after us, and he's someone who we can sort of go to as someone outside of our situation in Nottingham for support. And Ratnagosha is a really excellent president. Those of you that have met him, I'm sure, will agree with that. I'm sure he's an excellent preceptor as well, Danapriya. So Danapriya's name, Danapriya was given the name Danapriya, which means one who gives love and one who loves giving. That's so beautiful. So I listened, Danapriya's, he's obviously done this book launch and he's been doing some interviews recently. So I listened to an interview that he did on the radio recently. And he spoke about all of us as being abundant and stuffed full of love. And I just thought, oh, that's so gorgeous, like that. And I thought, oh, that is you sort of exemplifying your name there, Danapriya, that lovely link with your name, being one who gives love, and in a way that link between abundance and giving of love. So as being abundant with beautiful qualities and stuffed full of love, I thought that was lovely. So Danapriya's, he's got a lot of experience in Triratna. He lived at the London Buddhist Centre in the Sukhavati community for 9 years, from 1996 to 2004. And he also worked at Friends Organic for 5 years, which is a very well-known, well, it was that back then a team-based right livelihood. So that's where Buddhists sort of work together as a spiritual practice. So Danapriya's had a lot of experience in that. And then he moved to Deal in Kent in 2004 and started the Deal Buddhist group in 2007. Is that right? And he's now been the chair of Deal for 11 years. So it sounds like the centre there, the Sangha is just very, very thriving, the Sangha in Deal. So yeah, really, just really lovely to, in a way, be sharing those qualities that you have and that abundance to create Sangha in Deal. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what Danapriya has to say this evening. I think, your book already has had lots of very good reviews, and I'm just very, very glad that you can join us at the Sangha this evening. So over to you, Danapriya.
Thanks so much, Kusala Devi. That was really lovely. And it's a delight to be able to be with you all this evening. I'm just really enjoying doing these book launches. I mean, Zoom is amazing. This is my 39th book launch. I was at Stockholm on Monday. Last Friday, I did a joint one for San Francisco and Vancouver. I've been around the world from my bedroom. It's great. But what it shows me is just what amazing sanghas we've got all over the world. It is just phenomenal, this thing that we're part of. And what a blessing at any time, but particularly during the last year. And I think this sort of forum has brought us together like no other way would have done in the past. So I'm really grateful. So I'm glad to be with you. So as Bodhinaya says, I'm going to give you a talk called Actions Have Consequences. But whilst you're listening to the talk, because after the talk, we're going to have some breakout groups. So whilst you're listening to the talk, write anything down that particularly stands out for you, that you think, oh yeah, that's significant for me, or I'd like to look at that or work on that. And there will be things, there certainly will be things. So, and then you can take that to the breakout group and explore whatever you've jotted down with the others in the group. So that's where we're heading. So if you're sitting comfortably, So yes, well, we're all old enough, aren't we, to know that actions have consequences, particularly our actions, and they have consequences on ourselves and on those around us, and actually then the world. Um, and when I was sort of starting to put this talk together, I was sort of thinking, well, where do actions come from? Where do they come from? And I think, well, they come from our views, our collection of views, well, our overall sort of ethical perspective on life, all of which comes from sort of what we've learned on this journey so far. They can't come from anywhere else. With what we've learned. So about our education, really, our broad education, and I think that starts as soon as we're born. I think our birth has quite a profound effect on us. Not that we know much about it at the time, but that's where it starts. And then how our caregivers are with us, how they treat us, how they are. And I don't know about you, but my first memory is when I was 4. And well, there was a lot of caregiving going on between then and 4. And I think it just goes in through sort of osmosis at quite a sort of deep emotional level, really. And this is all forming me, forming views. And well, also, again, I don't know whether you've got siblings. I've got an older brother and a younger sister. And I don't know what spirits got zapped into each of us, but they're very different. We've got very different characters. We might look alike. Well, we do look alike, but that's where it stops. And so I've learned, obviously, from them, sharing a life with them, for many years. Yes, so, I was creating views about the world from all this information. And and all the time we are creating our own choices, our own actions, and they're having consequences on ourselves and others and the world. So, we go at life with these views from others and from our social sort of education, our school education, our role models, the sort of teachers, grandparents, friends, and the surrounding culture. It's quite a powerful one. Depends where we were born, what country, or even part of the town can be different from one to another. It's really affecting us, and therefore all this is, enabling us to create actions which are having consequences based on views that were never mine. They were all this collection that had gone before. They weren't mine. And it wasn't actually for me until I was 30 years old that I was stopped by quite a serious health situation. And I sort of woke up to the thoughts that I'd never actually asked myself, who am I? What do I think? What are my views? What consequences am I having on the world? I don't know where I was. It's like that awareness I just didn't exist in a certain way. I think what I was doing was I was just trying to do the right thing. I was, thought I got to get a good job and got a nice partner and got to get a good place to live and sort of pleasing parents or whatever it was, that I was trying to conform, I suppose, or feel belonged or trying to get love or something by doing this. But actually, the blessing was that actually I became ill. I was stopped and I had to look inside. I had to feel more deeply. I had to listen, to my inner world. And, I basically realized that I'd taken on blindly sort of other people's emotional world views and gone at life, without checking in deeply, with my own inner nature, my own unique spirit, my own voice. Whatever got zapped in here, what's it here for? What am I meant to be doing? What do I need to learn this lifetime? I like to look at us in terms of, well, each of us are a work of art. We're all creating our own work of art. All our actions, our words, everything is well, how beautiful are we? I can be really loving and kind and generous to you. I can be angry and, sharp. It's always choices, isn't it, as to how we're creating this work of art, this being, which is absolutely amazing. This being that we've got, all the skills and tools we have is just mind-blowing when we really see it. So I became unwell by following, others' perceptions of how things are, of how other people thought I should be. And as we know, what most of us know, that most humans are driven by the three poisons of sort of greed, hatred, and delusion. And so I was following lots of people who were thinking that if I get more, I'll be happy, and I get rid of those people, then I'll be happy, and of course that's all a delusion, all an ignorance, which the Buddha delightfully shows us as we learn more. And luckily I came across Buddhism and I slowly learned that it was generosity and love and wisdom which helps create a beautiful life existence. So I imagine that your life will have resonances with, at times, taking actions and then suffering the consequences. And sort of seeing little insights that action actually didn't bring me happiness or contentment. And often it brought the opposite, even though we had many little insights. And actually we can often create habits that we keep reoccurring, but they don't help us, but somehow we keep doing them. Well, this is one, when I was young, this may resonate with you, it may not. But when I was young, I used to go out with my mates and we'd have a few to drink, and then we'd have a few more, and then I'd be drunk, and then the next morning I'd feel deathly. And what do you say? Never again. Doing that again. And a couple of months later, there I was out with friends. They say, "Oh, go on, have a," whatever. And there I am again, trip myself up and not feeling good. Okay. Luckily, I learned this one when I was 20. I stopped drinking. But actually, I think this sort of thing happens because we haven't yet built up our own core of self-worth, of self-love. We're not really, how we actually act, and is it helping us? Is it kind to us? Are our habits helpful? And this is just basic metta, isn't it? It's metta bhavana. It's the first stage, and it's just really taking, real care of ourselves. And then there's this other thing I think that goes on, and for me, how I sort of describe it is, I sort of have all these different characters sort of that come on duty in my mind. It's sort of like, it just depends which character happens to be on duty as to, what choices I'm making. And so, this day, for a particular health reason, I'm deciding I'm going to go on this diet. I've got all the food in, and that's what I'm going to do. And I've got a good, strong will. And then, of course, I had a dodgy night's sleep. And we all know what a dodgy night's sleep does. The next day, you're sort of not quite as bright. You're sort of dragging yourself through the day a bit. And there I am at lunchtime having a cream and jam donut. And I think, well, how did that happen? Who did that? And it's sort of like, this is integration. This is sort of this is where mindfulness comes in. It's like we're getting, when you sit down to meditate, you'll all know that actually the mind isn't particularly quiet, is it? It's sort of like, first thing we do is getting to know our mind, getting to know all these different characters and energies within us, and sort of moving slightly gently with loving kindness, moving them in one direction so we're not tripping ourselves up and creating more drama for ourselves, and more suffering basically, and for other people, of course. So at some point, for you to be listening to me right now, you will have been stopped by creating your own suffering, or something will have happened that you suffered from, and that's begged you to stop and look and sort of feel and sort of listen to your deeper self as to how you are creating your life. And that's what happened to me at 30. And since then, I've learned a lot. And what's happened is I've written this book called It's Not Out There. Okay, it's here. You can probably see on the poster how it's written. It's here in me. And when I go within me and really get to know this being in here, out there gets amazing. But it's that way around. I think mostly what I was doing up until 30, I was trying to get out there to work, get the right relationship, get the right home, get it all right from out there and stick it on. But I didn't know myself. I didn't know who I was meant to be. I didn't even know I could ask those questions. So it's really valuable to be stopped and look and listen. And so chapter 4 in the book is called It's Not Out There. No surprises that there's a chapter called that. And so there's a lot more in that, obviously. And we have to always remember that we always have to be sure that it's us doing the creating, and that there's no one else to blame. This is one thing I love about Buddhism. The Buddha says that we have to take full responsibility for us. Well, we don't have to take it. We've got it. Actually, we can act as if we're a victim, but actually we're not. We've got it. We've got the control. We choose how we respond to everything. And actually, blaming is futile. It just creates more suffering. We have to remember who is creating your life, who is acting, who is speaking, who is choosing your thoughts. Might not seem like you're choosing your thoughts, but we are. It doesn't always seem like I'm choosing them, but anyway, we do. So I'm just going to talk a little about 5 of the 25 chapters now, and just to sort of touch on those. So chapter 2 is called It's Never Not Now. It's never not now, is it? It's always now. Life happens on a very thin moment. It's just here, isn't it? There's nothing 10 minutes ago or 20 years ago. You might remember something, and there's nothing in the future yet, hasn't happened. It's here. And this is the only place we can live the richest life, is when we're present here now. So when we perceive all the information that's coming in from our senses. Here we are. How amazing. But most people miss most of their lives. They miss most of their lives because they're in this memory of the past. And often it can be, sort of wishing we hadn't done it quite like that, or ruminating over a difficulty or something. And of course, it's very good to learn from our past. It's really good. It helps us be wiser. But we can often be carrying things we don't need to, which is making now a bit more unpleasant. I've certainly learned that a few times. And then of course there's the future, which we're sort of projecting. I'm making my own soap opera of my future, and you're making yours, because we don't know what's going to happen. We really don't. But actually, so often I think we can often be anxious about the future or fear it, and actually that it just ruins our nows, doesn't it? And the thing is, what I've learned, I think, is that, however good or bad it's been up until now, I've coped. I've always coped. And so have you. Whatever has happened, you'll have all had wonderful things and bad things happen. It's just that's life, isn't it? But you've coped, haven't you? And when I realised that, I sort of think, I don't have to fear or be anxious about the future, because I'll cope, And of course, we don't have to cope on our own. We've got all these wonderful people in the Sangha and other people in our lives. So that helps me fear and be less anxious, and be here more now, in a more pleasant state. So yeah, it's never not now. And that's the richest place we can be. So there's lots more in that chapter, but that's just a little bit I wanted to share with you. Now, Krisla Devi did mention this, but I just want to say you are absolutely stuffed full of love. Where else can it be? Is it up on a shelf somewhere, or has somebody else got yours? Well, nobody else has got any more or less love than you. It's whether you let it live. It's whether you're loving, It's just how it is. It's not complicated. Actually, life is not complicated. We complicate it. Well, I've complicated mine, that's for sure at times. So, it's our choice, but that's why we need clarity and wisdom and seeing things as they really are, which is the Dharma helps us do. So not only are we stuffed full of love, we're stuffed full of kindness and courage and confidence and patience. As the Buddha says, we've got every quality within us. It's a choice whether you let it live or not. It's just how it is. So this is chapter 16. It's called Let Your Love Live. Let Your Love Live. So yeah, go into lots of aspects of that in that chapter. Excuse me a second. So at this point, I want to state something that's quite obvious, but often I don't hear it said in relation to actions have consequences, and that is not acting has consequences. Okay, non-actions have consequences. Now, it's not that one is good and one is bad, because actually sometimes not acting is the right thing to do. It's the wisest thing to do. But it's just to take both into account. So we need, to look at the balance, the overall picture. Now, chapter 6 I've called I Can't Change. I can't change. Have you said that or heard it said? I definitely heard it said in March last year when we all were going over to Zoom, and some people said, "Oh, I can't learn Zoom. I can't do that." And of course, well, wow, what they've missed out on. And of course, people help some of them and they go, oh, well, I can. It's easy, isn't it? And it is easy. But if we have this mind which locks us into our limited, this is me, this is what I like, this is what I do, I can't change. But that's not the truth, is it? The truth is, in fact, we are change. We can't not change. When I was born, I was a little bit smaller than I am now. And, something's changed and my hair wasn't this colour, that's for sure. And it's sort of, and bits are dropping off, hair and skin, and just changing all the time. And I just had a bit of water in just then and it's going to go somewhere else a bit later. It's just, we are change. The question is, how do you want to change? This is where we have to take full responsibility for our life. It's your choice. Don't give it away. It's your choice. So I can change. Well, I never thought I'd be someone who write a book. Never. I thought, God, and actually it's Ratnagesha that enabled me to feel like I could, because it was sort of talking about it a bit and I thought, oh no, a book's too big. He says, well, don't think in terms of writing a book, just write a page, see what happens, And actually the next day I sat down with a blank notebook and just thought, oh, well, I write a page. So I started, and within an hour I'd got the first chapter. And then the next day I got the second chapter. And the third day I got the third chapter. And then I went to Gyaloka to ordain someone, and I was there for 2 weeks and 11 chapters came out. And it didn't feel like it was me. And I sort of didn't think I could do it. But of course, you can. I didn't think I could start a Buddhist group. But anyway, there's the Buddhist group. It's like we can do things. We just have to watch what we tell ourselves and what we believe. So yes, chapter 17 is the next one. Now, my book's been out since October last year, and I've had lots of people write to me and tell me what they think of different things in the book. And lots of people say they really like this chapter, but they think it's probably the hardest to act on and do in their lives. Anyway, it's called Discipline is Enjoyable. Discipline is enjoyable. Now, you might not often put those two words together, but you will certainly know because you've learned to meditate and you try to get a daily practice going at home. And how do you do that? Well, you need a bit of discipline, don't you, to actually do it, to get yourself on that seat or cushion every day. But when you do, and I know it for myself, when I do, which I do, my life's more enjoyable. it's quite simple. And this is a really loving, kind discipline. It's not harsh. It's actually doing the best for yourself. Like, I look at lots of things in this chapter, but I'm just going to talk about 3 of them now, just share aspects of that with you. And well, I think it's absolutely looking at the 3 most fundamental things for a human to live a really healthy life. And it doesn't matter what path you're following, just the human, and they are sleep, diet, and exercise. And I really don't think we take these seriously enough sometimes. I've actually, I had to learn because my body ran out of energy. I was unwell for 8 years, So through that time, I looked at these aspects, and well, let's take sleep. So I sort of had time. I wasn't working, and I thought, right, I'm going to ask this body, when do you like to sleep? And it'll be different for all of us. We've all got different rhythms and patterns and things. And this body likes to go to bed at 9, and then it wakes at 4:52 in the morning. I don't need an alarm clock. I wake at 4:52. And that's been my pattern for years, okay? Now, of course, I can't always go to bed at 9, like tonight. I'm going to be with you till 9:30. I'm having a late night for you lot. And anyway, but that really works for me. Because the other thing I was told years ago was that if I get up within 2 or 3 minutes of waking, I'll be bright for the day. Because when I wake, actually my mind is bright and my body's bright. And if I get up, I have that bright energy for the day. If I think, oh, I'm just going to curl up now another half an hour, when I next wake, I'm boggy. My mind's boggy, my energy is a bit more boggy, and it stays boggy for the day. So actually, to have the most enjoyable day, I need the discipline of getting up within 2 or 3 minutes, which I do. And that is the routine I've had for a long time, and it really works. And I think it's worth all of us looking at our sleep pattern, because if you have insomnia, or how dreadful it is, or don't have a particular good pattern of sleep. One thing Bhante Sangha says, one of his aphorisms is routine gives strength. And I know that for me. It's like with diet, with food. The routine of 3 meals a day at a similar time really helps me. And actually, I've seen loads of patients over the last 25 years in my work. And when people really get these things, they say, oh yeah, it really it helps us have good minds and good bodies to do everything else well. So diet, I don't like the word diet, to be honest, because everybody thinks you've got to have some sort of far-fangled, whatever, and you've got to find the right one. But you haven't. You just got to ask your body, what does your body function well on? And it just means a bit of time doing some food exclusion and inclusion. And my body does not function well. Well, I'd say these things are poison to me: dairy, wheat, chili, sugar, bananas. It doesn't like them. It doesn't. It's just like giving a diesel car petrol. It doesn't like it, does it? And so it's working out what works well. And I sometimes say, well, I might die today, which I still might die today, but I'm going to die as healthy as I can, thank you very much. It's sort of just taking care of these fundamental things. The last one of chapter 17 is exercise. I really think we do need to exercise for whatever our physical capacity. And I sort of didn't do a lot of exercise until about 8 years ago. I sort of got away with it, really. But about 8 years ago, I thought, okay, I'm getting on, and I do want to keep my lungs and heart going as long as possible. And so I was watching. I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but because you've got to find something you enjoy, because you won't do it for very long. How much discipline you got if you don't enjoy it. And I was watching some clips on YouTube, and it had just been the London Marathon, and they were interviewing the oldest man who just completed his 23rd consecutive London Marathon, and he was 89. And then they interviewed the oldest woman who just completed her 18th consecutive London Marathon, and she was 86. And I thought, I've got no excuse. I can trot along the seafront for a few kilometres. So I started doing that. And actually, I've learned I really enjoy it. And I don't want any Walkman or any player in my ears, thank you. Just me and nature out there. And now, you know, I've been running 3 times a week, so about only 4 or 5 kilometers, but that keeps me going and I enjoy it. But why do I resist it just before I go out the front door nearly every time? It's sort of like, it's good for me, I enjoy it, but why do I resist it? Well, I don't know. I don't know. That's why we need a bit of discipline to get me out that door. And when I do, I enjoy it. You know, I led a Mitra study for 7 years. It's almost like every Thursday evening, just before, I think, oh God, I'm too tired. I don't want to do this, you know. And then I do it, because I always did do it. And I really enjoyed it. And I was energized being with all these lovely people and studying the Dharma. And then when it was finished, you know, I couldn't get to sleep, you know, which wasn't very helpful to my sleep. But anyway, it was really enjoyable. But why do we resist it? I don't know. That's why we need a bit of discipline. If you've got any answers, tell me, please. I'd quite like to know. So yeah, that's discipline is enjoyable. And yeah, there's lots more in that chapter too. So this is the last chapter I'm just going to talk about, which is called What We Dwell On We Become. What we dwell on we become. It's quite simple, isn't it? Well, I don't know how much news you've been taking in this last year. You know, how helpful has it been? If you've been taking in a lot, well, you know, it don't cheer anybody up, does it? Yes, we need to know what to do to keep safe, of course, and keep others safe. That's the loving thing to do. But any more than that, we don't need to know. I would say, this is my choice. I certainly didn't need to know all that Trump stuff going on, you know. But you get it through osmosis. Somebody tells you, you know. And I don't need all that coming in all the time. So, you know, every couple of days, I do ask Siri to play me the latest BBC News, and I get 2.5 minutes of pretty much the headlines. So I know what to do to keep safe. And that's plenty. So what we're taking in, we're becoming all the time. And that's who we mix with. Are the people you're with, are they helping you become who you want to become? Are you helping them? You know, what do you read? You know, what books? Or what are you taking in on YouTube and or whatever? You know, how much Facebook, and is that helpful? And it's fine if it is. You know, it's all our choice. It's, nobody can choose for you. Well, movies, films. I mean, I haven't watched a horror film or a bloodthirsty anything for years, or something's got bad language in if I can help it. Sometimes they don't tell you enough, so you don't know what's coming. And because I just don't want it coming at me. Actually, I'm a bit of an addict of romantic movies, and actually I'm hoping they're helping me become more loving. But actually, I do watch, well, quite a few a week, and you know, enjoy them. So hopefully it's good. I mean, I'm sure I could be doing something better, but actually they're not going anytime soon. Whilst I'm in lockdown anyway. I'm halfway through one now, and yes, it's just choosing, isn't it, with everything, what we dwell on we become. And it's looking at our lives, and the Dharma helps us do this. Meditation helps us do it, and our friends in the you know, in our Sangha help us do it. So, actions. Well, you could buy my book. It's an e-book as well. You don't have to. You might have already bought it. You might have even read it. Yeah, if you buy it, try reading it. That'd be really helpful. And let me know what you think. I've got a website called Danapriya.org, O-R-G. You can send me a message. Tell me what you think, because I've started book 2, and I'm sort of more feedback I get, the better. Or you could, you know, buy my book from your local bookshop when it opens. Or you could, you know, buy it from Windhorse Publications, our wonderful Triratna Buddhist publisher. Or you could buy it, you know, from someone like Amazon. So, you know, do you like having your local bookshop around? Because they are disappearing like flies, aren't they? I mean, luckily we still have one in Deal. And well, I quite like to go and pot around. And so, I quite like to buy books there to support them, to keep it there. Or you might like to support Windhorse Publications and buy it direct from them. I mean, that is how they make the most money. And they are a small publisher, and small publishers are struggling. So the more, you know, we can support them, the better. That will help us, you know, keep at this publisher, make publishing pretty much all our Buddhist books that you're in the bookshop in Nottingham, no doubt. Yeah, or you could, if you want to, help a huge greedy corporation get bigger and risk lots of small businesses going out of business, and you could buy it from Amazon, couldn't you? It's a choice. Yes, you might save 50p or something, but is that the effect you want to have on the world? Is that the action that will make the best consequence in the world? And of course, all our actions are having an effect. Yeah, it's just how it is, isn't it? And well, this book came about because I was 62 years ago, and I thought, okay, what's the next 10 years about? What do I want to do with this next decade? Well, hopefully I've got another decade, we don't know. But, what do I want to do with it? And I came up with this phrase, I want to share what I've been given. I want to share what I've been given. And my book actually is what's risen out of that, is actually that sharing a lot of what I've been given. Because I've been given to by so many wise teachers, by so many people, by on retreats or through talks and Sangha or just one-to-ones with people or reading books. And in a way, this touching with gratitude, actually, I just feel so grateful. And this is sort of part of me giving back, really. And I'm really hoping that, this book, well, I hope, because we are all so amazing. We've got all the qualities we need, to see differently and live an extraordinary, ordinary life. And I really hope this book, is going to help our human predicament. It's already #1 bestseller for Windhorse Publications by a large margin. And it's already going to be translated into Marathi, so the Indians can get more, and into Portuguese, and the Swedish have just shown interest. So it's quite exciting, and I hope it's going to help us have our actions be amazingly positive and have great consequences, not only on us, but others and the world. So that's what I wanted to share with you. Thank you for listening. And so yeah, shortly somebody's going to wave a wand and we're all going to end up in breakout groups. So we're going to have a bit of time there. So hopefully there'll be some things that you'll have, noticed for yourself in your life.